What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another update patch notes review. And today we have open beta 6. Oh baby, last time I missed open beta 5. I just don't think I saw it on the website, so I didn't do it. But today I see it on the website. I got a little notification that this is going live on Monday, tomorrow I believe. And so let's go ahead and do this, as I know there's a decent amount of things changing, and with it coming tomorrow, you know, not a better time to do it. Besides when it first came out, which apparently came out on the 21st. I got to be better about looking more into it, because on the screen, like the news section up here, sometimes they don't have it up there, but I still think it's live somewhere. Just, you got to dig for it. But I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get into this. As per usual, the updates or the patch notes for this will be in the description down below if you'd like to take a look at it yourself. I do know we're getting Merlin, as you can see. Very obvious here. All right. I'm probably not going to read all this. Let's just see it, though. Truly magical patch. Merlin joins. Okay. Frostbolt, you know, all of his abilities are coming. I did watch a video on it. Basically, everything is going to be the same with him in terms of all of his abilities. I think they stated that with how many things are in his kit, there isn't really too much, you know, they don't want to do too many things to him to make him even more complicated than he already is, from what I gathered. For what I remember, something along those lines. But basically, they don't want to change a lot of the things. But they are adding an aspect, which is actually pretty cool. I know the aspect already. It's basically just randomized things. You know, when you switch stances, you have your ice stance, your fire stance, and your void stance, I believe is what you would call it. But with this aspect of pandemonium, as you can guess by the name of that, it's going to be all over the place. So, but let's get into it. The new Port of God, Merlin, of course. Range basic attacks, magical, intelligence scaling, so very basic to a mage. He's kind of like the most, like, I guess it's like a paragon. It's like one of the best examples of a mage, basically. All right, passive overload. Using the ability provides 1 stack of overload. Firing a basic attack consumes 1 stack of overload and deals magical damage. I think all these are going to be almost the exact same to his Smite 1 kit, but we can still go over it. We'll just go a little bit faster. Eclipse, Arcane Stance, Conjure, Celestial Orb that grows in size, dealing magical damage. Marked enemies take additional magical damage if they stay within the outer range of Eclipse. Channels a Beam, this is his Fire Stance. Channels a Beam of Intense Fire for 2 seconds, every 0.25 seconds. Each time radiate hits an enemy, also plus a burn. Frostbite just explodes and hits an enemy, dealing magical damage in a small area. This is an ability that deals an additional 15% damage if the enemy hit is slowed. So if you do get some type of slow. Now on to his 2 in his arcane, not void stance, arcane stance is what it's called. Deploy a field of arcane energy after a delay. The vortex deals magical damage and pulls enemies towards the center. Dragonfire, you summon forth 2 ethereal dragons dealing magical damage. If caught in the center of the area, enemies are afflicted by radiate burn, and gods have their protections reduced. So that's interesting. Protections reduced. I did not know it had that. Blizzard, Ice Stance, creates a blizzard, dealing magical damage repeatedly to enemies in an area. Enemies hit are debuffed with a stacking slow, which obviously synergizes really well with the one part of it in the Ice Stance, which if an ability, or if an enemy is slowed, you deal an additional 15% damage, which is really nice. Flicker, you quickly teleport a short distance depending on your current stance. You gain different effects. Arcane, heal 30% of the damage taken within the last 4 seconds. Which is actually really nice. For a short duration, your basic attacks apply the radiate debuff effect to enemies hit. And then ability cooldowns are reduced by 5 seconds within the ice stance. So very important with the arcane and ice ones are going to be really nice. And then ultimate elemental mastery. Tap in your inner potential, exploding with energy. You change stance, dealing magical damage to enemies hit. Near you. After the explosion reaches its apex, it collapses in on itself, dealing magical damage again. So basically proccing twice, essentially. Enemies suffer different effects depending on which stance energy they are hit by. Arcane enemy hits are knocked up. Enemies hit are knocked up. Enemies hit are afflicted with the radiate burn, and then in the ice stance, enemies hit are slowed, which can also be very impactful for that slow synergy. If I'm remembering that correct, I think you would use your snow stance and then go into snow. I don't actually remember. Anyways, aspect of Pandemonium. Elemental Mastery has reduced. So this is his aspect. This is also, oh wait, this is the 28th. So is this not live tomorrow, or actually let me go to the Twitter real quick. Let's see. All right, so here is the Twitter post. This is the exact thing I was talking about. Open beta 6 update hits the SMITE 2 battleground tomorrow, with a picture of Merlin. So SMITE 1. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's not what I wanted to see, but I mean, we're here anyways. Okay, Jesus Christ. We're not going to go to Twitter here. Anyways, yeah, this is going live tomorrow at 7 a.m. So that's all I really needed to see. So I guess this is going to be releasing a little bit earlier. I can't imagine that the aspect would release after it got, but I don't know. We'll see. Either way, Elemental Mastery has reduced cooldown, and each time it is used, a random stance is selected with 2 random primary abilities. Flicker will always persist. Using Elemental Mastery provides an intelligence buff for a short duration. So in his ult, being able to switch stances is going to give you intelligence buff. And then on top of that, you're going to get 2 randomized primary abilities with your 1 and your 2. So that's that'll definitely make him a lot more fun, and a lot of RNG based. So that's gonna be cool, but pretty simple, pretty fun. I'm excited for Merlin, and I can't wait for him to come out. Another mage. All right, on the skins. This skin's actually pretty cool if you've seen it in game. It's a new Susano skin. It's like there's like a toon version of those skins. Pretty cool though. Prisms. They're called prism skins. That's right. Got some classic skins, cross-gen skins, cosmetics. On them, that's all the skins, and like, yeah, cosmetics. Gameplay movement adjustments to deceleration when changing directions have been adjusted. Gods are able to more rapidly change their velocity when changing directions suddenly. Okay. Ranked and matchmaking. I don't know if I'm gonna really go over this. This isn't too important, but or at least in my opinion, to me. Makes up to 3 player swaps after finding a lobby to build the most balanced teams is actually nice. Due to this addition, the base matchmaking system was less needed in the act of finding balanced teams, freeing up those resources. So, roughly, that's a roughly sign. 80% reduction in an average. So instead of it being 100, it's going to be 20. 20% reduction in an average SR range of matches, 15 to 1200. Worked on the tech was okay. Party skill rating limitations. Players over 2400 SR apart will no longer be able to form a party for ranked. Interesting. Note that this value is preliminary and will be used to gauge further versions that potentially have stuff. My cat's trying to get up here. Players over 4400 Master 3 rank will no longer be able to enter a trio queue. Okay, gotcha. Our matchmaking rule is previously heavily incentivized away from players at this SR forming a trio queue, so this first implementation is more of a formality. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you're at that high of a level, being able to trio queue. If you know you're trio queuing with a bunch of people who are a lot lower than you, it can really be hard to find those values, or try to balance that team. Players over 2400 SR apart will no longer be able to form a party for ranked. Wait, players over 24 SR apart? Oh, over 2400 SR apart. Okay, so I mean, yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. I think it should be a little bit less or more. I mean, in between that, because if you're sitting at like 4,000, you're queuing up with someone with like, what's 4,000 minus 20? So it's 1,600. So like 1,700. I mean, that's a little ridiculous. Changes will not be allowed with the OB6. However, they can be expected during the course of this patch. Okay, interesting. So pretty cool. We'll see how that goes. All right, general prisms. Prisms are a new alternate colors. So yeah, you can have alternate colors to the skins, which is pretty cool. I think you have to buy each individual one with diamonds and gems and stuff like that. PC item shop filtering, quality of life improvements. Player can now select the multiple stats at the same time via toggle box. Cool. For example, selecting lifestone attack speed filters a shop to only display blood fortune numbering. Gotcha. That's actually very nice. Some updates here. God rolls updated, which god shows up in rolls. Cool. Leaderboard. Live rank conquest leaderboard updates will begin during this patch. Leaderboards will refresh every 5 minutes. At first, this will only be live with player skill rating, with further informations like win, loss, etc. to be added at a later time. Cool, cool. Oh, and I did see these new things for Conquest. If you're a Conquest gamer, they added more art to the identifying camps to make it not only cooler but also more identifiable, which I definitely liked. I did that with speed buff, which I do like. It just adds more flair to the map and also just helps identify, just rather than just for regular trees and stuff, which did look cool but it kind of got boring after a while, in my opinion. Totem update: reduced bonus damage reduction given to minions by 25%, from 25% to 10%. 25%, Jesus. Reduced bonus physical power given to minions from 20 to 10. Looks like they're reducing all of the health from the Fire Giant, Gold Fury, Ancient Fury, Queen Naga. So all of the map objectives are getting a reduction in their health. But with Pyromancer, when slain, the Pyromancer will deal direct damage to the weakest enemy structure. Interesting. So it'll do what? Deal 250 base damage plus 25 per minute that has passed, not including the setup time. Deals 250 base plus 25 per minute that has passed. Okay, so let's say there's 10 minutes go by. That's what is that? 250 damage? Yeah. Wow, I can't do math right now. Yeah, it's 250 extra damage. So about 500 damage at like 10-minute mark. So that's pretty cool. Adding more things to the pyro. I'm assuming you still get dropped the thing, right? The bomb. Reduce first blood gold rewards from 200 to 75. My god, they're really trying to make this game longer, huh? Definitely disincentivizes Snowball. All right, into some god balances, the good stuff. Ares buff. Oof. I mean, Ares I think does need a buff, at least when you think about Conquest and stuff like that. I think Ares is already really good for Joust, though. A lot of other game modes too. I mean, his ult for his displacement, not being, or being a displacement immune ability kind of cucks him, but... So Shackles, increased strength scaling from 25% to 35%. Okay, you're gonna have more strength scaling, so you can get more strength scaling items. Jesus. Scale 2 arms. Ares gains 10 to 30 HP per health point second. While the buff is active on himself, this does not apply to his aspect call to arms. Okay, so his call to arms is not going to be... So he just gets this on his basic form without his aspect. Thought he already had HP 5 or HPS or whatever. I don't know what... I don't remember what that is for, but... I'm still gonna go based on HP 5. No escape, which is his ult. I actually like how they add like the 2 and like the 4s to make it more clear. No escape. Initial damage now has 20% intelligence scaling. Pull damage now has 50% intelligence scaling. Okay, so his ult's gonna be doing a lot more damage, and his one's gonna be doing some more damage if you build some strength or some hybrid strength and intelligence based items. But his 4's gonna be doing a lot more damage, which is nice. I think he was already a really good god, but in Joust or in Conquest, not so much. Artemis aspect nerf. Felt like she definitely needed that. As much as you don't get the cripple and root, her aspect with her one does so much healing and damage and really great clear. Decrease base damage from 20 to 60 to 12 to 60. So initially, I think this is really for like the jungle start. Increase strength scaling from 30% to 35%. I guess it is a nerf. Overall, it doesn't do much though, at least late game. Increase strength scaling from 30% to 35%. Fix the tooltip not displaying the talent damage numbers. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, as much as like this is a nerf initially, it's not that big of a deal. And honestly, you get a buff here too, because you get increased strength scaling from 30 to 35%. So that's not really a nerf, I'm gonna be honest. Especially late game. Late game, this is actually a buff, which you're gonna almost always get. Let's be real. A wheelix shift. Initiative passive. Fix an issue where this was always activating, even if someone damaged you first. Okay, nice. Feather step. Fix an issue where this was able to be used while crippled. Okay, so this isn't really nerf or shifts. I mean, this should just be issues. Do these two bug fixes. We're going to revert some of the last nerfs we did to address her performance. Summon Suku, her 1. Increase strength scaling from 70% to 80%, revert. And then Moonlight Charge, increase strength scaling from 70% to 80%, revert. So these are reverts, so they're going back to what they were. I guess because, yeah, her 2, this is definitely a nerf in that, you know, if you're crippled, you can't use this anymore. And then, if this is always activating her, you're going to have her passive up all the time, so you're going to be doing more damage, regardless. So these 2 actually probably helped her a lot. And so these are, even though they're not supposed to be here, there's actually definitely buffs, or made her better. So getting rid of this, allowing her to actually have some more damage on her 3 and ult should, I'm sorry, her 1 and her 3 should help a little bit, or counterbalance it. Baron Somdi buff. Baron Somdi had a bug in CA8 that reduced all enemies' damage to every target, leading to a massive overperformance across the board. After fixing this, we gave him time to settle since he had been oppressive since his original release in SMITE 2. Now we've seen him struggle to perform, so we're reverting a few of the changes we made before discovering the bug. So Vivid Gaze decreased cooldown from 11 to 9, which is nice. Consigned Spirits increased missing health heal from 2.5% to 5. My god, doubling it! You're doubling it! Life of the Party 4 increased Vortex strength by 10%. One of the biggest things about Baron is if you don't get his passive on, you know, his ult really doesn't do much at all. Like, does nothing. He increased Hysteria Vortex strength by 20%. So this is going to be really big. Having your cooldowns up a lot more, healing for a lot more. I think he's going to be definitely very good. Not only damage, but sort of hybrid. So we'll see how that goes. Fenrir nerf. So ever since his aspect change, he's been a lot better. Now, so his Brutalize, decrease in power scaling from 70% to 60%. I believe because in his aspect... Well, hold on, let's go over Ragnarok real quick. Ragnarok, decrease movement speed while carrying a target from 7... Whoa. Decrease movement speed while carrying a target from 75% to 40% because he is carrying someone. I gotcha. Interesting. I guess. I don't really think that was definitely needed, but let's actually go over his 3 with his aspect and passive. Because this will go in with his Brutalize. All right, here we are. So we have Fenrir and Brutalize over here. Basically, his aspect, if you don't know, Brutalize deals less damage but applies a stacking slow, provides increased protections, and protections persist afterwards. Seeding Howl's strength is decreased, but applies to all allies in an area around him and their lives too. Yes. Okay, so basically, in history, if you didn't know, he also gets physical and magical protections. And so we can read through this. Actually, over here, this is trying to figure this out here. Aspect enhanced. So gains protections, leaps forward, and grabs onto an enemy. Repeatedly all allies. You're displacement immune when empowered. Deal increased 20 physical damage repeatedly instead. Then all runes are consumed. Empowered, not empowered, gain 1 rune per successful hit. Damage scaling, increased damage scaling, 15% slow. Okay, so okay, never mind. So this actually applies to the regular part of it. I forgot that I believe this part only reads based off of the aspect, whereas this one is the bottom one acts as if you don't have the aspect and you get protections. I believe that's right, because when you do the same thing with Seeding Howl here, you don't get so your strength is decreased, so you don't have as much strength clearly from this difference and that difference. So actually, no, this doesn't have anything to do with his aspect version. His aspect version doesn't actually give him any of that. but does give a slow. Okay, so anyways, he just does less damage. I'm gonna be honest though, I thought based off of that, I don't think then that was kind of, I don't really think Brutalize needed to be nerfed, to be so real. I think that was fine. He's more of an auto attack based like jungler really anyways, as much as it seems, you know, unintuitive, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, doing less dust damage, there's whatever. I don't really think this is a valid nerf, but I guess we'll just have to see. Hunbat's nerf shift. Sorry, not nerf shift. Hunbat's relies on his ultimate for the bulk of his power, making it tough to give him other abilities meaningful impact. We're reducing the maximum crowd control it provides, adding some bonus scaling, and with this change we can increase the potency of Overhead Smash. Overhead Smash will no longer go on cooldown if interrupted, which requires us to move the protection shred off the channel and backload it onto the actual smash. Interesting. Okay, Overhead Smash. That's just to remove the protection shred from the build-up. Now applies the full strength on the protection shred on hit. Its own damage will benefit from this protection shred. Okay, so I guess now, so when you throw out your 2, the wind-up doesn't give protection shred anymore. It's the actual hit is going to be the one that that actually does the damage. Okay. But it is nice to know that its own damage will benefit from the protection shred. So basically at the same time, the damage is still going to be the same. It's just the wind up beforehand isn't going to have that application to it, towards it. Visibility will no longer go on cooldown or consume mana if interrupted before a smash hits, which is very nice. I like that. It's a good quality of life because that's annoying. Fear No Evil. His ult. Targets will now be immune to the fear after 3 ticks. Making the maximum duration you can be feared 1 second. Man, I don't know how I feel about that. Increased strength scaling from 10% per tick to 12.5 per tick, so you're doing more damage. But that's basically what was really good about him was his ult. And they're not, I don't feel like they're changing enough of his kit to make his other abilities more meaningful. They're just doing like a quality of life, in my opinion, with you know, changing his kit here. I guess one of the biggest things that's important to Smite too is the CC. CC is super important. So when you change CC for a little bit more damage and maybe like a little bit more quality of life, I don't think that really equals out. That definitely, I feel like that makes him a little bit worse. I guess we'll have to see tomorrow, but my initial thoughts are that that's not going to make him as great. Jing Wei buff definitely needed to get a buff. She was really good, and then she got nerfed, and then she fell off. Jing Wei took a big hit after we removed the knockup. Removed the knockup and damage from persistent gust for enemies who walked into it after its initial deployment. We're restoring these effects at a reduced strength, ensuring foes still need to respect the gust when chasing or retreating. At the same time, this adjustment prevents her from regaining the free wave clear that originally prompted the change. This just prevents her from regaining the free. Okay. Again, applies a knockup to enemies who walk into it after the initial burst at a 60%. At 60% of the initial burst, again, applies damage to enemies who walk into it after the initial burst. Okay. So it's adding the knockup after the fact, and then the damage after the fact as well. Increased damage from 70 to 270 to 70 to 290. Okay, so she should be a little bit better, just at a reduced rate. I think that's a good healthy medium right there. 20 difference in the end. And explosive bolts increase damage scaling from 100% to 102 to 110. That's actually a decent amount of scaling. Just a full-on buff, because you start out at 102, which is 2% higher than before. So should see her uptake a little bit more. Kefri buff. Abduct. Protections gained from the grabbing a god. From the grabbing a god persist for 3 seconds after the dash ends. Persist for 3 seconds. Okay, so the protections you get are going to last 3 seconds after the dash ends, not initially. This does not apply to the aspect grab. Makes sense. Increase protections from 10 to 50 to 20 to 52. Okay, so wow, initially going to be way more, but then teeters off to being 2 more at the end. That's going to make him a little bit better. You're going to make him a lot more tankier, at least in his non-aspect form. Oh, my god, Odin sucks. Basic attacks. Adjusted hit timing to better match attack animations. It's not really a buff. Quality of life. Lunge, decreased cooldown from 16 to 12 to 14 to 12, making him his early game a lot better. That's nice. Always cooldowns. Or cooldowns are always good touch up. Gugnir's Might, his 3, increased pulse intelligence scaling from 50% to 60%, and increased projectile strength from 60 to 75. That's actually really nice as well. I believe in the other update when they buffed him, I think that that was another thing that they did, I think. Making his scaling more potent. 10% and 15% more scaling and allow him to do a lot more damage, which is gonna be really nice. Because I mean, his kit, I think it's just his kit, man. His kit is just so like, I don't know, man. His ult's kind of meaningless because you have Shell. His 3 is nice. His 1-2 combo is so predictable, but when you do hit it, it does smash. So I don't know. I think it's a little outdated. They changed his kit before though, so I don't really know, but. It's an okay buff. I don't think it's gonna be enough to put him up, but I mean, this buff and last buff, maybe we'll see some more Odin. Princess Bari nerf. As expected, Princess Bari launched with a moderate win rate in all modes, which often indicates she's slightly overtuned with a moderate win rate. New gods generally take time for players to master. To stay ahead of his learning curve, we're nerfing Reverent Steps, a key contributor to her late game strength. Reverent Steps decreased strength scaling from 130% to 115%, and decreased intelligence scaling from 60% to 45%. So real quick, I'm gonna look at her kit. All right, so it is her 3, which makes sense. I'm gonna be so honest. Her 3 does so much damage. It's actually absolutely insane. So. We go back here, so yeah, minus 15% and minus another 15% based off intelligence. That's definitely one of the biggest parts of her kit that needed to get nerfed immediately. Being able to throw out your 3 and then immediately throwing out your 3 again is absolutely disgusting. Alright, so next up we have a Rama buff, Astral Strike. Arrows fired now have 10% strength scaling. Oh my god. The aspect already has 25% strength scaling. This will remain untouched. Interesting way to... Weird. Okay, whatever. So his regular version, you're going to make him do a lot more damage with his 1. Susanoo has continued to struggle despite our recent buff attempts, so we're implementing more significant changes to help him thrive. His original SMITE 1 passive was a powerhouse, but the newer version proved too difficult to fully utilize. By cutting the stacks in half, Susanoo can now build and maintain his passive more easily, although it still requires 3 in-hand cancels for its full effect. We also made Storm Kata's dash cancelable for smoother follow-up and increased Typhoon's quick fire damage to bring it closer into SMITE 1's parity. Nice. Storm's Edge passive. Reduce stacks on target from 6 to 3. Wow. Strength reduction triggers at 1 stack. Slow triggers at 2 stacks. Damage dealt increased. Triggers at 3 stacks, so you're cutting that shit in half, which is really nice. Debuff duration increased from 4 seconds to 5 seconds. Storm Kata 1, third Kata dash. The dash can now be canceled early. Okay, so you can kind of do more, auto canceling if you want. Typhoon, increase uncharged damage from 50% max to 80% max. Wow, okay. So this will definitely make him a lot better. We're going to see him more often, hopefully, and we'll have to see how he's played, because that definitely makes me more excited to play him. He's definitely just been not very good, I'm going to be honest. All right, Yamoja buff. Mending Waters, increase intelligence scaling from 40% to 50%. That's right, Yamoja's getting an aspect, I believe, too, which is really nice. Increase in scaling from 40% to 50%. New aspect releasing this week of March 31st. The week of March 31st, aspect of Downpour. Mending Waters can no longer affects allies, but stops and bounces on enemy gods, dealing damage, shield damage, and providing Yamoja 6 to upwards of 10 intelligence per hit, stacking up to 6 times for 10 seconds. She is going to be one-shotting when she comes in. My god, I cannot wait to play her. This ability can bounce to the same god once and hit the same target. Whoa. This ability can bounce to the same god. This ability can bounce to the same god once and hit the same target twice. Okay. Additionally, Moonstrike no longer stuns. Yes. So you're getting a lot more scaling in scaling when you go with the passive. You can kind of already go damage Yamoja anyways. So with these extra buffs and aspects and make her do a lot of damage, that's gonna be really fun. And on top of that, you can still go hybrid. Still go hybrid and make her work. Zeus buff, Chain Lightning, decrease cooldown from 12 to 12 to 10. Definitely did not need that, but that's a pretty good change as well. On to items, we have Runeforge Hammer. I did see this for 2,600 gold. So 2,600 gold is right at that point where it's like definitely not cheap, but definitely not really expensive. It's like in between. Like it's a pretty, you know, I guess I would say like regular priced item, but similar to that. 40 strength, 400 max health, and 5 health regen. So that's what? That's like 25 HP 5. Passive. After applying a hard crowd control to an enemy god, mark them with a rune for 5 seconds. Basic attack them to forge that rune, dealing 50 plus 50% of your item protections as magical damage. This can only occur every 40 seconds. Hard crowd control applies to enemy gods while on cooldown. Hard crowd control applies to enemy gods while on cooldown, reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds. So, Runeforge Hammer is gonna be really fucking good, especially on those gods that have a lot of CC. So I can definitely see building this on like Hercules. You build this with like a bunch of protections and hybrid items, and you're gonna be doing a lot of damage. I mean, I can just imagine using your 2, proccing Runeforge, autoing, 1ing, and then. My god, this is gonna be really good. We're gonna see this item be played a lot because that's a lot of fucking health. That's gonna be a really good item. In Chile for 2450, you get 60 magical protections, really fucking good. 250 max health, really good. It's a pretty cheap. It's a cheaper item, not too cheap, but you know, cheaper. Passive, you take 10% reduced basic attack damage. Taking basic attack damage reduces this item cooldown by 2 seconds, but it is inactive. Your next ability that damages an enemy god will silence them for 1.5 seconds. So that's pretty good. Pretty similar to Anchile on Smite 1. The auto attack damage is a new one. I guess it's a bit weird, but I mean, I guess it's another anti auto attack speed build, which I guess is cool. But really, it's the because you know taking basic attack damage reduces item. You basically be canceling or silencing a lot of gods pretty quickly if you can maximize your basic attacks. I guess getting hit by them. So that's gonna be a pretty solid solo magical protection item. Don't think it's gonna be as good as Runeforge, but definitely pretty solid. Vampiric Shroud. They're adding a new. We got a lot here. Okay. New starter for 650 gold. You get 20 intelligence, 75 max health, and a passive damaging an enemy with ability heals 3 and 4 mana, 3 health, one per target per ability. Heal an additional 3 health and 4 mana if this was a god. Requires level 20 to upgrade. So this is gonna be sort of like your hybrid, or even gods like Hades and Anubis will build into this now, which is pretty good. It's a pretty solid starter. Blood Soaked Shroud for 2150, 60 intelligence, 225 max health, damaging an enemy with an ability heals 1% health and mana once per target per ability. Heal an additional 1% health and mana if this was a god, so basically 2% if you're doing that. For every kill you have this game, increases the heal by 0.1%. I did see this on before. Yeah, this is gonna be really good. Increasing your healing just by 0.1% each time. It's gonna be really good. We'll see how these play out, but I'm assuming these are gonna be some pretty solid items for like your solo lane type gods who could build in this like Guardian-esque, hybrid Guardian-esque, or like hybrid Mage-esque. I could definitely see this be good on obviously Hades and Anubis, but gods like even a Kate, I guess you could even do that on. Like a Sobek would be pretty good. A lot of these gods definitely really good. Boomba's Golden Dagger starter. Boomba's Dagger and Spear we're seeing significantly less play than Cudgel. That's obvious. We are moving Boombas to be more focused for attack speed focused junglers, both in stats provided by Golden Dagger, but carrying the passive stats through the Spear. No longer provides 50 mana, now provides 10% attack speed. Increased passive range from 1.5 meters to 1.92. So this is basically just like Eye of the Jungle from Smite 1. Kind of switching it over to that. No longer provides cooldown rate, now provides 200 max. Yeah, there was one thing. I looked at these two starters, I'm like, aren't these basically the exact same thing outside of like one nuance? But okay, so I'm glad they are changing this. Now provides 200 max health. Now provides 25% attack speed. No longer provides a buff and heal upon defeating jungle camp structures and jungle bosses dying, but now provides basic attack, dealing 15% bonus physical damage to all gods. So this is gonna be good on your auto attack based junglers. There aren't really a lot of them. I mean, you got like Fenrir that you probably will want to buy this on more. But like, you know, a lot of the junglers that take advantage of that aren't in the game, like Bakasura, Arachne, Mercury, or anything like that. So don't know how much of an impact that'll be. Maybe like on an Amma would be really good, a jungle Amma. So we'll have to see about that. But I am glad that they are changing that. There was no point in getting that if you got the other one. They're basically the same thing. Demonic grip buff, increase intelligence from 55 to 65, fixed the tooltip stating it provided 7.5% penetration per stack. This was giving 6%, matching the executioner. Okay, so I guess I was wrong in terms of I did a video in meta update builds where I highlighted the fact that this was still 7.5% penetration, but they didn't change that. So with that, it is basically after the pen nerf, this is basically the same exact thing as executioner. So yeah, that kind of sucks. I mean, you're getting 24%, but you know, with the increased intelligence 10, it's gonna make it still arguably the same in terms of how it was in standing compared to other items. But this one specifically for intelligence based ADCs, which I still think you're gonna want to buy because it's pen and stuff like that, but definitely not as impactful as it would be if you didn't, you know, if you had 30% pen instead of 24%. Eye of Providence buff, no one buys this. Increased physical protection from 25 to 30 to 25 to 30. Okay, I mean, I guess that's pretty good. I just don't feel like, you know, outside of Conquest, you're really going to build this. Helm of Radiance buff, increased physical protections from 25 to 35, decreased max stack count from 5 to 4. Increased physical protection per stack from 5 to 7. Okay, so what is that? Decreased max stack count from 5, so 5 times 5 is 25. Actually, this is a full-on buff. So you're actually getting 10 more protections, and then they're decreasing the max stack count. So not only are you going to be able to get those stacks quicker because you have to take damage, but they changed the amount of protections per stack to 7. So 7 times 4, 28. 5 times 5, 25. So you're actually getting 3 more protections, physical protections, while also getting those stacks quicker, while also getting 10 more protections. So this item's actually pretty good. I thought it was a little underrated. I didn't bring it into my meta builds, but because there's so many other items that kind of overlooked this, but or was the word shadowed it or overshadowed it. But with this is actually a pretty solid item. I actually might want to pick this up more often because of just how much pure protections you get. It's a very cheap item as well, so that's very good too. Gauntlet of Thebes buff, definitely needed a buff. Let's be real here. Increased max health from 150 to 200. Increased protections bonus from max stacks from 10 to 15. So you're actually getting 5 more protections and 50 more health, which is okay. I might start picking that up more. It's definitely obviously more valuable to pick up. Just I don't know how more impactful that'll be. I'm trying to fucking figure out where I want to put my mic here. Okay, I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be picking this up more. I just don't know how valuable it will be with a lot of other items just being a lot better. Not only because you have an active, the actives are just better, but also, you know, those items still give a decent amount of protections, or very similar to these amount of protections right out the gate. So we'll just, you know, have to see. Golden Blade Shift, increased max health from 150 to 200, decreased base damage from 25 to 20, increased item protection scaling from 10% to 15%. Okay, so definitely they're trying to change this item to be less early game with the decrease in base damage and stuff like that. Overall, I think it's still going to be a really good starter item. All right, Leviathan buff, increased physical protections from 40 to 50. That's cool. I'm still going to be buying that item regardless. Just to make it more incentivized. Because the only 2 items that I really go is Leviathans and Spectral Armor, really, if you want to go against anti-attack speed. Sunbeam Bow buff, increased strength from 25 to 30, increased intelligence from 25 to 35, increased attack speed from 15 to 20%. So this item's going to be way more valuable to pick up. I just think maybe the passive's a little bit hard to manage. But I still think it's a really solid item, and I'm probably going to pick this up more because it is definitely a really fun item. Going down to the last 4, we got Sunder buff. Sunder was the least purchased and performing relic. We wanted to give it more offensive lethality, but allow players to more frequently use its effect to quickly farm the jungle and make it easier to have it available for objective control. So this is going to be nothing for Joust, but let's see it. God per level damage increase from 4 to 6. Okay, so every 2, you're getting 2 every per level. So what's that? 6 times 20. That's 120, right? Am I doing the math right? That's 120 instead of 80, right? I think I'm doing that right. God per level damage. Yeah, so 120 instead of 80, which is actually pretty significant. Cooldown reduced by 30 seconds if used on only jungle / bosses, which is good. Really fucking good, actually. Because you just use it and you get it back almost right away. You actually might be able to have this up all the time. Definitely Conquest is a very impactful buff. I don't know how much more it's going to be picked up. It's either going to be picked up roughly around the same, or everyone's going to pick it up, I feel like. But I think it's probably going to be roughly around the same. Maybe just a little tiny bit more in solo laners. Probably every solo laner is going to pick this up. We'll see. I guess we'll have to see. War flag / selflessness. With our item pacing changes, we reduce gold gain slightly across the map. This adjustment largely keeps war flag and selflessness in line with that shift. Decreased bonus gold from 8 to 7. Okay, just by 1 gold. Erendite nerf. Decreased revealed debuff and movement speed buff durations from 10 seconds to 6 seconds. Okay, so definitely by 4 seconds. Yeah, Erendite definitely needed a nerf, a little bit of a nerf. Hydra's Lament fixed an issue where this item was providing extra mana instead of mana regen. Decreased mana regen from 5 to 4. Okay, just by 1, so nothing too crazy. And then that is all as per usual. Let's go ahead and go up to the BC, the more impactful parts. So Sunder, this is a question mark. I want to see how that'll feel, at least in Conquest. Sunbeam Bow is pretty good. Helm of Radiance is a pretty significant update, buff on that. The Boomba's Dagger, or Boomba's Golden Dagger, and Boomba's Spear, that's actually pretty significant. That's going to make it to where this item's going to be played a little bit more, as it has a different approach to it, so that's actually really good. Blood-Soaked Shroud and Vampiric Shroud are going to be really good, especially the passive on this. Again, I love this one. The passive on this definitely just realized you have to be level 20 to get that, but you know, more kills you get, the more healing. But either way, I think this is gonna be a pretty solid set of starters. And Sheila's gonna be pretty good for your solo magical protection. And then Runeforge Hammer is probably gonna be built on like every single god. I just feel it coming. This item's gonna be really fucking good. We'll have to see how that is too. Alright, moving on. Yamoja, this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to play her. Definitely a video coming soon for that. My gosh. But that's going to be a really good... that's going to be really good for damage Yamoja and hybrid Yamoja. Susanoo's going to be a lot better too. More efficiently, or more... making his kit more efficient to do more damage, which is really nice. Princess Bar is going to be doing a little bit less damage. Odin's got a decent buff. We'll have to see that actually, how that affects him though. Jingwei is kind of back in a way. Hunbat's got a pretty weird change, I gotta imagine, or I gotta say, and I've gotta imagine that you know, his ult's just not gonna be as good. I don't know how much the rest of it, because he's just basically his ult, man. Probably brings him down a whole tier. Baron buff's gonna be pretty good. And then other than that, pretty normal stuff. Nothing too crazy outside of that. Got some new changes to Conquest. Got some skins, some ranked, and I think that's basically it. Oh, and then Merlin. I think Merlin's gonna be really good. I think he's gonna be pretty similar to Smite 1. Just a lot less gods that kind of counter him. So we'll have to see how he does in Smite 2, along with his numbers. We'll see if his numbers are anything crazy. But That's gonna be pretty fun. So a lot of new content. You got like Yamoja, a couple new items that I want to talk or I want to use. Merlin's gonna be in the game, so a lot of new content, which I'm actually really excited for. I believe this is coming out tomorrow. That's what they said they're doing. I don't know about the aspects because they have some conflicting information here. Yamoja's not gonna is gonna be coming out the week of the 31st of March. His aspects coming out on the 28th, they said, but I don't know if they're just did early thing, so it's coming tomorrow. So we'll just have to see. But I know this is coming tomorrow. They confirmed it. We'll just see how many things come to it. I've got to imagine all of it does. I don't know why they wouldn't just do all that, but I guess we'll see tomorrow. But that is your open beta 6 patch notes review. Tell me what you guys think. I think this is a pretty solid patch. Definitely along the regular vein of new content. So I'm definitely excited for it. So let me know what you guys think. But I think that's basically it. Discord inscription down below if you want to join it. Twitch in the description as well if you want to follow. I'd stream Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm about to actually go live here soon. I'm doing this Sunday night. Memberships are open for 99 cents and then another tier for $2.99 a month if you so desire, but obviously not necessary, but much appreciated. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think about these patch notes and what it brings for tomorrow. But other than that, I think that is everything that I have for you. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.